Besides the popular swamp rigs, jackups, semi-submersibles, drill ships, there are other rigs that are used to develop fields, depending on what the field development plan of that establishment is. And today we'll be looking at reviewing some of those rigs, looking at their merits and demerits, and we'll talk about them extensively. Good day, everybody. Once again, my name is Ugo Koli. Today we'll be looking at other types of rigs, but before we proceed and elucidate on this type of rigs, let's hit the subscribe button as we proceed. So to discuss other rig types, we'll be looking at the fixed jacketed structure. We'll be looking at the tender assist rig. We'll be looking at tension leg platforms, the gravity structure, and the guide tower. So the first on the list, the fixed jacketed structure. So looking in detail, so this is the structure. We have the mud mats and we have this full construction. We have the full jacket sitting on the mud mat. We have our conductors driven to bottom, extended all the way to surface. We have our drilling derrick, the cranes, the heli deck, the quarters. So it's a full structure, it's a full facility. The people coming to work will come from helicopters, land on the heli deck, go to the quarters, and they come out here to operate. So it's pretty large. And why this is done is perhaps full evaluation has been done, and this is the most cost effective way to develop this field. So the evaluation has been done. They decided to get this jacket constructed here. It's sitting on that location. All the wells will be drilled and lined up. All the wells will be drilled and lined up to the facility. Some of the disadvantages of this particular structure is, of course, looking at this structure, it tells you that it's very expensive. The capex is going to be really high, and it's actually going to increase exponentially with the depth, because steel will definitely corrode, and you need this facility to be healthy throughout the life of the well. So you will have a lot of operating expenditure maintaining this steel to ensure that it doesn't corrode and that it carries this facility throughout the life of the well. One other big disadvantage is that it is not reusable. So once we are done here, this will be demobilized and it will be taken away. That's another huge cost, which is not mentioned on this list. The cost of demobilizing this jacket is in fact sometimes 1.5 times or 2 times the demobilization cost. Now the next one is the tender assisted drilling rig. The difference between the fixed jacket and the tender assist is this particular jacket is a lot smaller than what we saw for the other facility. This is a lot smaller, just carries the derrick and sits over the wells that will be drilled. It's piled on bottom, so it's a fixed structure here, and on this we'll be drilling the wells. Most of the equipment that will be used to drill this well sits on the tender, which will be floating. As you can see, it is anchored. It's floating and it's anchored, so it just stays by the jacket while operating. You can only use this rig where you have, or rather, you can only use this setup. That's the jacket and the tender assist, where you have calm waters. If that environment is rough, it will be difficult for you to operate. So looking at it, giving it an aerial view, you can see that on the tender we have everything. You have your casing stack, the stack area where you stack your casing. You have your heli deck, that's the quarters, the chopper lands. People get into the accommodation. Everything pretty much sits on here. The only thing that stays here is the doghouse and all the drilling operations that happen here. Almost everything is taken from the tender and taken onto the jacket during operations. The major disadvantage here, looking at the tender assist, is that again, the in constructing the jacket, the cost, the capex is high and increases exponentially with depth. We have also high cost. Just, I mean, same situation as the fixed jacketed structure. The maintenance cost is really high, and you will have to keep maintaining that facility until you fully develop that field and perhaps towards the commissioning stage. Another type of rig could be the tension leg platforms. Here you have a facility like the semi-submersible platform sitting on tensioned legs, and you have your wells, you have your seabed template all connected to surface. So you see your crane here, your derrick here, and the full structure sitting here. Again, it is of high cost. The subsea costs are also very high, and there can be issues with regards to fatigue of the tensioned legs. They are difficult to maintain because of the subsea systems on bottom here, and there's little or no storage for this. So pretty much everything you can store is on here. And don't forget that one of the disadvantages are the tension leg. So there's a limitation to the deck load that you can keep on this facility. Then we have two other rig types. We just kept them side by side so that we can see the similarities and differences. So you have the top side of facility sitting on top for the two of them. That's for the gravity structure and the guy tower, all sitting on top. Where you have your rig, your derrick, it's all there. Your derrick, your deck, everything is all there. Your living quarters all sitting there. However, the difference is for the gravity structure, you have caissons sitting on bottom, like buried on bottom, connected to the deck, while for the guy tower you have the structure, the truss structure, buried with the pile, but also supported with guy wireline cables. So this is the support system that pretty much differentiates it, how they are supported on bottom. So you have the main pile and you have guy wires, and for this you have the caisson, concrete caisson buried on bottom. So, looking at the summary of the rig types, for the jack, looking at all the way from the jack up all the way to the TLPs. For the jack up rig, you can see their water operating depth. Some of the advantages that they are mobile, they are stable when elevated because they are, if you, I mean, especially when you use the ones that have the spot cans and the truss structure, they are low cost and efficient. Some of the disadvantages is that when one of the big ones is seafloor scoring in environments where the water is shallow and where the water depth is shallow and there's a lot of movement, scoring can occur and the rig becomes very unstable operating in that environment. Um, they are restricted to only shallow areas. The leg must sit on bottom. That's the issue that he has, and it actually depends a lot on weather windows for it to be placed. um One issue with this particular rig, which is not on this list, for shallow gas, once we do shallow gas analysis and we observe that there's shallow gas in that environment, most times the rig is moved away. We look for another surface location, unlike the semi on the rig where you can winch the rig away and stay, I mean, get yourself to a safe environment. For the jackup, you are stuck there because your spot cans, don't forget, are buried on bottom because they've been preloaded. For the semi-submersible, that's the depth which they operate. They can move at about 10 knots to location. They are very stable, especially in rough environments. um, they have medium to large deck area. Some of the disadvantages that they have high initial and operating costs, and they have limited dry docking areas, unlike the drill ship. The drill ship, that's the major advantage of the drill ship. It has very, very high deck area and bulking area to store dry dock. Um, it's actually very difficult to handle the mooring systems and the BOPs using the semi, especially in areas where the sea is very rough. Not just that, with depth, as we increase, one of the main issue is as the depth increases, to moor the rig becomes a lot more difficult. And if it's complicated further with bad weather, it can really be an issue. Moving ahead to the drill ships, they move to the deepest environment. One of the main advantage of this rig is its ability, it's the deck space that it has, and because of this deck space that it has, it can walk far away from the shores. So because of that deck space, it can take enough supplies, get to the location, and you won't have to bother for a while having supply vessels get equipment to you to that location. One of the big issues that he has, or rather, let's say disadvantages, that you need very skilled personnel to handle this rig. It can be very unstable in poor stability in rough seas, and that is because it has very low freeboard. And also, it has the issue with handling the mooring systems. That's if you decide if the rig will be moored, and also land the BOPs and riser in rough seas. For the tension leg platforms, they are mobile, very reusable, low maintenance cost, but big disadvantage is the high initial cost and the high subsea cost, and you can also have issues with the fatiguing of the tension legs. So thank you very much, everyone. We come to the end of this particular modules of the fundamentals of subsea drilling operations. Thank you so far for following us all through the course of this journey. Please do not forget to comment, like, share, and most especially subscribe. We want you to keep we want you to keep visiting our page, and because of that, we want you to subscribe because that's the only way you can know when we've posted anything new. Thank you, everybody, once again. See you on the next video. Bye for now.